visible to everyone. So let's start our today's section. On behalf of Central Zoo Authority, it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Meena Venkatraman ma'am, a distinguished wildlife biologist whose career spans more than 2 decades of research in mammalian ecology, with a special focus on the Asiatic lion. Driven by a deep interest in animal social behavior and reproductive strategies, Dr. Venkatraman has dedicated over 20 years to studying lion behavior, dispersal, and the complex dynamic of human-wildlife coexistence in shared landscape. She completed her postgraduate studies at Pondicherry University and earned her PhD from the Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun. Over the course of her career, she has conducted extensive research on a variety of mammal species across South India, contributing significantly to wildlife science and conservation. Beyond her research, she is committed to bridging the gap between science and society. She actively shares her experience through peer-reviewed publications, popular science articles, educational outreach programs, public talks, and media engagements. She currently leads conservation research and consultancy through her organization, Carnivore Conservation and Research, Mumbai, and also serves as a visiting faculty at the Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Environmental Education and Research, Pune. We are delighted to have Dr. Meena Venkatraman with us today. Ma'am, over to you, ma'am. Ma'am, you can unmute yourself.
Good evening to all, and thank you, Priyadarshini, for this wonderful introduction. It's like I said, it's a pleasure to be part of this webinar series, and it's my pleasure to share my long journey with the Asiatic lion. So, without much delay, I will start my presentation, and hopefully, we can have a very lively discussion after my talk. So are you able to see my screen and hear me well?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible and you are audible.
Okay. I've been given this really wonderful topic, conserving the pride, strengthening in situ and ex situ conservation of lions. And I thought I would tell the story of the lions, starting from their evolution and conservation history, their current status and distribution, the beautiful Gir forest and its species assemblage, and about the social organization and the habitat where the lions survive today. And finally, we come to the hot topic for today, that is the in situ and ex situ. As I see it, they are complementary paths to towards a common goal. Now, as we all know, the lions, before they used to be called Panthera leopersica, they had a wider distribution. But today, they can be found only in the Gir forest in Gujarat, Western India. And within India also, they had a very wide distribution, but due to direct persecution, habitat loss, and prey depletion, they can be found only in the Asiatic lion landscape today. So here's another much loved story about the Asiatic lion, its conservation history. So in the earlier on, the lions were a favorite for the hunters, but these took a turn. This is a very favorite story of anybody who reads about India's conservation history, of Lord Curzon's visit and his change of heart, and his suggestion to the Nawabs to protect the lions. They were already on it. One generation of Nawab was already protecting the lions, but the coming 2 generations further strengthened the protection. And the Gir, as we know today, is a gift given by them to us. And then following that, the next milestone was the creation of the Gir Sanctuary in 1965. And following that, there was a Gir Lion project specifically focusing on protecting the lions, which involved um, endeavors like habitat improvement, relocation of the local resident Maldaris, and more stringent protective measures, to the extent that today what we have is the challenge of managing the success of conservation as the
सर्टिफिकेट्स होने
lions.
हमारी लाइफ के लिए भी, जैसे आप लोगों के लिए प्रशस्ति पत्र होते हैं सर, हमारे लिए ये होते हैं सर। ये कुछ मतलब एक
Um, Sorry for that. So today, the lions can be found widespread in the Asiatic lion landscape. So here's the story of the lion conservation today. As you can see, from 1995 onwards, the part of the graph shown in green here is the proportion of the population ranging outside the designated protected area. As you can see, while the Gir has more or less reached its carrying capacity, the outside population has been steadily growing to the extent that, as I said earlier, 50% of the lions can be found outside the protected area in the larger landscape matrix. When we talk about the other carnivores in Gir, we have the leopards. We have a very high density population of leopards and a low key population of the striped hyena. And the Gir is a dry deciduous forest dominated by teak, and which turns into a lush carpet of green post monsoon, and abundant water drained by 7 rivers, and water stored in reservoirs, the dams Kamleshwar, Singoda, Machundri, and Raval dams, to the extent that this water enriches the land outside, in the farmlands outside, and such that the farmers have a higher crop productivity, bounty of crops, I would say, within 15 kilometers from the boundary of the protected area. And the prey assemblage, wild prey assemblage, we have the cheetal, sambar, nilgai, chinkara, chausinga, and lions also feed on the smaller prey like the common langur, peafowl, and the rufous tail hare. And of course, within the protected area, 80% of the diet consists of wild prey, but still livestock depredation does occur, and it contributes to much of the biomass of the lion's diet. And within this forest area, we have hamlets called messes of the resident graziers, that is the Maldaris, with their livestock. That apart, we have 14 forest settlements, all continuing from the time of the Nawab. And this is what a nest looks like. And then we have tourism, religious tourism and ecotourism, earning a good revenue for the forest, which is put back into the system for the protection and conservation of the forest and the lions. So coming to the lion itself. So what's so unique about it? So what's in a pride? Starting with its evolutionary history, about 16 million years ago, the evolution of carnivores was started. And 25 million years ago, the first true crats, the Felidae, appeared. And then, following the expansion of the grasslands, we had a remarkable radiation of the ungulates, and then therefore the predator diversification. So, thus, cats have a long evolutionary history, including remarkable extinct forms such as the saber-toothed cats. The genus Panthera is one of the earliest diverging extant lineages within the family Felidae. And in that, the earliest diverging lineages are of the lions and the leopards. And recently, the snow leopard has also been added to the roaring cats. So this is the taxonomic classification. Now we have a new subspecies reclassification. We have the Panthera leo and the Panthera leo melanochaeta. We'll talk a little bit more about it towards the end of the study. Um, so lions had a wide global range since evolutionary times, and the social living is considered a key driver of the lion's ecological success and adaptive resilience. It was quite widespread across the globe, and they are considered to be the true social cats. Of course, many people would, some naturalists would argue that all cats are social, but as per our definition, that a pride is a dynamic fission fusion societies as described by George Schaller, where group size and membership change according to ecological and social factors. This is the true social cats, that is the lions, and they consist of a coalition of males that join a pride. They are unrelated males and they come and associate with the pride. They will have to challenge the males that already exist, challenge, fight with them, and then establish their dominance over a particular pride. And the female prides consist of 2 to 18 females and their dependent offspring. So why are they social? So these mostly are developed in the open savanna grasslands. And the reason for this, the drivers of the sociality is for optimum exploitation of prey. In a group, they are able to bring down larger prey. And then greater reproductive success, the lionesses come in synchronous estrus, and against a stable male coalition, being resident there, they are able to successfully raise their cubs. And then there is competition with hyenas and other carnivores. So living in a group gives them that advantage of being able to fight off competition. But these are but reflected in the classical understanding of lion society. And this was what I wanted to study for my PhD. But when I came to Gir, I found that this idea of sociality didn't quite fit that model. So I had to go back and look in literature. And in fact, what I found was there were different types of ecosystems or habitats in which lions thrive. I must say that there's so much work done after that in Africa on the social organization, and so much of ecological work has been done because since then a lot of even smaller sanctuaries are now being well studied by researchers. This is a little outdated, but I'm showing this to impress upon you. So how different, in what different scenarios are lions surviving, and the plasticity of their social organization. So there is different prey, the prey biomass available, livestock availability, livestock intake, and in all this, so much of this has come from literature, and some of it was also from questionnaires that I had sent out to people working in on African lions. And so this data has been collated from that. And so somewhere with a density, I think the latest density estimate by Jala et al. Is somewhere around 50. But back then also it was, varied from 8 to say 12 to 15 across the park from west to east Gir. And as you can see here, the highlight is that the group sizes are very small. They range from 1 to maximum 4 for males and 1 to say, 2 to 5 maybe for the females. And as you can see in this table, this last column talks about the male-female interactions, the nature of the male-female interactions. In the open plains, what happens is when the males take over a pride, it's a large pride and open areas. So they associate with the pride, they hunt and feed along with the group. Whereas uh, in the Gir and places like Kruger, forested habitats, the males think it is wiser to defend a territory where they have control over more smaller prides and they are able to reproduce with more females. So they defend a territory rather than a pride. So we come to a home range. A home range is typically not in such neat boxes. They depend on the availability of resource. But what I want to convey here is that when there are fewer numbers and a larger space, the home ranges are somewhat adjusted like this with respect to the resources. But as the population grows, the home ranges would slide over, there will be much overlap. And in Gir, in fact, remarkably, there is overlap between adjacent coalitions, particularly where the female prides are there. So the reproductive opportunities are in fact shared. N- n- Nevertheless, there is some kind of patrolling and territory that is held by each coalition male. So it's quite a complex system. And once even this home ranges have been this home range has been achieved, the space has become constricted. So what happens is, being a territorial animal, the lions start to disperse out of the park. So if you talk about home ranges within Gir, the males have around 60 square kilometer area, and the females have home range is around 30 square kilometers, 60 to 70 square kilometers, and a little over 30 square kilometers. And outside protected area, as a lot of work has been done by the Gujarat Forest Department using satellite radio telemetry. The males average over 250 square kilometers outside the protected area, with females also having a larger range. And I had the opportunity to collaborate and
For
closely
second
look.
floor upstairs so ऊपर अच्छा सर क्या कहाँ क्या हो गया चाबी को वो यही ना हाँ
So the home ranges are are much larger. And so we can as I said, I had an opportunity to look at the data of lions moving outside protected areas, the dispersal events, their movement in relation to resources, that is diet, mate, and even anthropogenic factors contribute to such larger ranges. And because the habitat itself is patchy, so lions move through human landscapes to patches of natural vegetation. They make a kill in a particular village, and then they move much further after feeding. So their range tends to be really bigger compared to the forested habitat. This is something that we have to keep in mind when we talk about what is the optimum home range for an animal when we do translocation and plan for translocation and other things. And other thing is the social status also makes contributes to the size of the home range or movement, at least during a part of their lifetime. Here is again a dispersal event of subadult male. As you can see that the movement is random and it's going up to Gondal starting. It was actually a coalition male that was found around this region, and when they were captured for radio collaring, it was found that they actually came from Girnar wildlife sanctuary. That was their native territory. And after that, you can see starting from you have to see the graphs here. So starting from December and all the way up to the, for a year, the lions have been randomly moving, and we were able to track the movement. And finally, they came to East Gir. And as you can see, progressively, the home ranges tend to get more and more smaller. So at some point of their lifespan, lions scope and they look for appropriate areas to settle down. So the home range itself, I feel, is a moving frame. We need to look at it in with respect to different parameters as listed here. So the conservation implication for such a finding is that the integrity of the land uses around the protected areas have to be maintained to facilitate the dispersing animals, because our understanding of the ecology of the animal within the forest areas becomes redundant when they go out of the protected area. So, what are these satellite populations, satellite habitats? Sorry, where lions are now resident. So, as you can see, we have the Girnar Wildlife Sanctuary, and now I'm not. This is not the exhaustive list of all the habitats as we know today, because the Bhavnagar, then we now have the Bhavnagar coast. So I'm just, for comparison, I have kept the same, the same habitats together. And as you can see, there has been a remarkable growth during these years. So this is 1995, starting from 1995. There's some mistake here. And the populations have steadily increased, and to the extent that even the carrying capacity of these small patches of forest, some 205 and 250, they may also be reached. So the landscape has to be free and open for the lions to be able to disperse and move, navigate through the human use areas. The Asiatic lion landscape is a beautiful agro-pastoral landscape, but it also has hectic industrial activity, particularly, as you can see, this is along the coast, mineral-based cement industry, agro industries, and there is a port, the Pipavav port, and further inland around Junagadh and extending towards Rajkot, we have Saurashtra's industrial corridors, important industrial corridors that are all poised for growth. But if we ask, the line is still seems to be since 1995, they are still moving and surviving in this landscape. So what are the factors that are actually contributing for this, this kind of remarkable situation where lions, a carnivore, and you can add leopards also to this, are surviving in a human landscape? Thankfully, we have such beautiful patches of, this is a grassland BD just outside the Gir area. So all these are also now integrated into the larger Asiatic lion landscape. And then this is a cropland matrix in the eastern Gir, where you can see that just a fence could perhaps stop a lion from moving, but a lion or any wild animal from moving. So this whole landscape is available. It's more open and easy for the animal to navigate and move as it pleases. This is the coastal area. Of course, when we talk about line dispersal, the most fascinating story that catches our attention is the line's survival in the coastal area. These are the sandy beaches with prosopis plantations, which are thorny and something that we cannot imagine how a lion can actually survive in this area. So this is the landscape, and some kind of marshy, and if you have a bird's eye view, so you have the mangroves, and then you will have some prosopis thickets, and then you'll have a busy highway road going, and there is also a railway line going from Pipawa port further inland, and there we'll come to that story a little later. But I want to show you this remarkable matrix where lions and heavy industry and people are all choosing to survive. So the coast is a dead end. So I have shown this picture to say that if any development activities come where the movement of the lions, free flow movement between the source population, that is the Gir sanctuary, and the dispersing lines are cut off, then the lines will have it'll become difficult for them to survive, and there'll be escalation in the conflict. So we need to really think of how we plan survival of keeping the lions alive in the human landscape. This is the Shetrunji habitat. There is a riverine area, and the undulating beautiful terrain where lions here. This is where the lion population has really increased in the entire dispersal history of the lions. The maximum number can be found in these areas. And here is a crop field with free meal served. The very healthy nilgais are there, and you can understand why a group of lions will be more effective in hunting down such a bulky and sturdy prey. And this is the village, a typical house in a village. Of course, they have compound walls and all that, but you can see there is a place from where a lion can easily come in and grab the calf. And then, so this is domestic livestock is a very important source for lions in outside the protected area. And then there is a free ranging cattle, and there is rivers, seasonal stream, everything's available. You can see a trough for this is for meant for irrigation, and then every village also has water filled up in these kind of troughs. So a lion cannot really understand that it is not where it should not be. So that's how good this whole ecosystem is. Now I'll just take a pause for a few seconds, and I would like the audience to just have a good look at this picture and try to guess how many lines they are able to see.
Four.
Yes. So this is how much we are able, the camera has been able to capture. Maybe there are more that are not visible. So we come to, so it all looked very rosy and nice when we saw those landscape pictures. So now we come to the real challenges of conservation at the interface areas. So this is managing success in the human habitations. So human wildlife conflict is quite discussed and deliberated topic nowadays. So, and there are definitely two sides to this coin. So as biologists, as managers, as forest department managers, the prime objective is to protect the lions from accident, disease, human intolerance and persecution, poaching and hunting, and safeguard the people also from attacks, livestock depredation, and many other, incidental or collateral challenges like fear and psychological effects of having a carnivore. And like I said, there is also a high density of leopards going around, and having to protect your livestock and yourself can be quite a challenge. So all this comes now under the purview of conservation management. So, so managers have an entire toolkit for this, tested and improved and improvised all through the years. We have the open wells where lions succumb to accidents, so they build boundary walls, and then rail and road accidents, and then nowadays we also have technology to help us prevent accidents and loss of lions, and then various ways to protect people, and then giving them compensation for depredation, or if they are attacked or there is a unfortunate situation where a human being is killed due to a lion attack, and then rescuing lions from wells and from injuries and other things, treating them in state of the art facilities in the hospitals across the Gir, and releasing them, and various kind of outreach, uh, informing people about the rules and regulations, and then how to avoid risk of encounter with the carnivores, and education programs. So all of this, so we are all familiar with this. So the idea of putting it all together is that we don't spend too much time discussing each one of the mitigation process. So the real story here is the culture of coexistence. It's not, we know from case studies in Europe and all that, how intolerant people can be of even a wolf just appearing in the landscape. And here we have high densities of lions and leopards and people, and it's true for India, Nepal, and where this culture of coexistence is there. So, in the case of Gir, what is the basis? So now, not wanting to talk, not investing too much time in talking about what the conservation management does, I will talk a little bit about of what work I have been doing in this landscape. So one interesting question was, what is the basis for this remarkable culture of coexistence? And is it a reflection of faith or religion? So during the course of my interview surveys, I asked the question, do you associate lions with religion? So there is an Assam avatar, and here we have this Chamunda Ma from Chotila who's riding on the lion. So the response of people was quite interesting. Around 37, I did close to 2000 interviews. So around 37% of the people had a positive association. You ask them and say, it's we associate it with, a god or a religion or something. But 47% said they don't associate. I mean, they had a very straightforward, they'd say this is an animal. There's nothing more than that to it. And then or they say that, yeah, it's a popular belief, but I don't subscribe to that viewpoint. Or they say, no, it's a national animal. It's not like some religious thing. It's a national animal and our pride and things like that. And there are people who say it's not a god, it's a devil. It's really causing a lot of problems to us. And other people have no opinion in this matter, because as farmers or livestock owners or wage labors, they have no time to dwell on this particular question. And if you look at how people associate with lions, and would they be okay to have lions in their village vicinity to be taken away? So here it was an unstructured kind of question, and then later on I categorized the responses, and much of the response was either humanistic or ecologistic. That is, they had a association, anthropomorphic association or affection for lions. They say it's our animal, it's our pride and things like that. Or they say this lion is very much required for keeping the integrity of the forest and the ecosystem services that we enjoy, because the lion is there. And there are negative opinions, and we'll see what are the utilitarian opinions, category of opinions in the next slide. And other people will say that the lions will not be able to survive in any other area. Only here they have all that they require and our love to survive. And some others had a moralistic question like, would you like to be, taken away from your home and things like that. So largely, the final thing is that people had a very either a personal or a very wise way of associating with the lions. And when I say what is the use, so you see that many people felt that they reduce crop raiding, they are a safeguard. I mean, other outsiders cannot come and come to their village because they fear the lions. And some part here, the threat to life and livestock loss is a negative thing, that they feel that they incur a loss because the lion is there. And some also felt because of this lion, life is hell for us. There is stringent conservation laws. We can't do many things like that. And again, there is a category of people who did not have a very strong opinion either way. So this vague opinions or strong opinions can come from the fact that there are hotspots of conflict and where the line movements coincide. Here you see a red areas are the hotspots where the depredation is more. It actually coincides with the movement corridor, the Shetrunji River corridor. So, and this is the area around Sasan. So the opinions may also vary as per how much interaction, the magnitude of conflict in a particular area. So to recollect what we have, discussed through those breathtaking landscape photos and all that. So there is good, abundant resource availability. There is effective management. There is a good local community's tolerance. The magnitude of conflict may not be to the extent where people retaliate, but that is a very relative thing. And there are other factors like now tourism and maybe other livelihoods that are also conducive for the lions to survive in this landscape. So I combined all of these and looked at the human tolerance factor and how each of these factors are contributing through interview surveys and conflict data. And so there were 2-3 factors that stood out. The negative opinion comes from experience. When somebody has lost their livestock, much of the time they say, okay, lions don't eat grass. Yes, living here, we have to share and share the landscape and, incur a certain loss. But if the loss is more, then the chances are that the opinions get more and more negative. So that means we cannot base our conservation policy saying that local people are tolerant. So there can be a tipping point. It need not reach a threshold of say 100 or 200. Just one more can somehow trigger a negative, domino effect. And the other thing is one would expect that older people to have a more positive attitude towards lion, but actually it was the younger lot. Maybe it comes from the knowledge and all the tourism and all that they see in Discovery and other things, that they had a positive attitude towards the lions, and they wished for the lions to be there in their village areas. And some communities which depended on the livestock husbandry, and some communities that were actually poor and lived in the village edges, out of fear and other things, they also showed a kind of a negative attitude towards the lions. So what I would like to convey here is, if you pick just one factor and see and examine it, it may not give you the correct picture. So we need to look at a combination of factors. And so here is the next level of work. So if you look at a management uh, outlook, so one is that to reduce the cost and benefit that people incur. Okay, so you reduce the cost and give them more benefit, and people are happy. So you do that, and then we know that the landscape is big and it's just agriculture fields and lions can navigate through with no problem. And then we have good wildlife protection act and good management, and very much revised management plan that went from fortress to landscape level planning. So that legal framework is very good. And then there is the cultural tolerance that we talked about. And then we have the conservation success. But if when any of these factors go out of or not in moderation, that you give more benefits to people, maybe say, let's say the example of tourism, then the landscape will change. When the landscape change, it escalates conflict, right? And if we are too stringent in applying the legal uh, you know punishing people and things like that, then that again the cultural tolerance may evaporate. So it's really like walking on eggshells. We need to at each level be able to put things in perspective and replan. So one important factor is outreach. So now we come more towards the uh, captive situations. So the outreach of zoos and safaris. This is the Sakarbag Zoo. It's located at the foothills of Girnar Sanctuary, and its history also dates back to the Nawab's time. And it's categorized as a large category zoo by CZA. CZA, and it's well known for its nature education camps and outreach programs, and is visited by millions of visitors each year. So that is comes as no surprise. We also have the Devalya and Ambari Safari Park, where visitors come strong, in fact, and they have the pleasure of looking at lion in its habitat. The department already has a good nature education program and all that. So through CCR, I did the conservation ambassadors, conducted the conservation ambassadors program a few years back, where although the local villages school children have access to the safari park, um, as through my organization, we actually took them from their schools, an entire module of biodiversity awareness, and one of the activities was a visit to the safari park, which the students enjoyed a lot, and with collaboratively with the forest department. And here I would like to emphasize, like Dr. Amy Dickman has works in Tanzania, and there they found when they took the indigenous people to sanctuary areas, as it were, they cannot afford the entry fee and it's gated and they have no access. When they actually visited the sanctuary areas, she says they were seeing wildlife in a non-threatening way, and they were able to appreciate the conservation values. So it's good that outsiders visit, but the more the local people see the larger picture of conservation and what a nuisance animal walking through their villages is actually means, perhaps they will be more sympathetic towards the cause of conservation. And this year, I am taking the program from the safari park to a visit to the zoo. I work in the eastern part of Gir, so far from the Junagadh area. So I'm planning to take the school children to visit the zoo this year. So the Zuckerberg Zoo, coming to the conservation breeding program, which is another important role that the zoo is playing. It's the coordinating zoo for conservation breeding program, also for Asiatic lions, where the purity of stock has been maintained for the past 50 years. And again, they have the state-of-art facility for rescue, treatment, and care. And they are also the principal source of lions to other zoos. And then we have the EEP, that is the European ex situ program. They are a collective of zoos in Europe and a couple in Asia, where they exchange lions, and they keep up the gene pool, maintain a gene pool. So we have another cluster of Asiatic lion representatives in the European zoos. So we talked about all the interface issues, man-animal conflict, poaching, and everything. The one thing that hit us hard in 2018 was the canine distemper virus. In earlier this year, also we had a disease outbreak. Uh, there was a debate on whether it was CDV. So lion deaths from babesiosis or any other disease doesn't make the impact less, impact any less. So, understanding diseases is very important, and the zoos provide a way in means by which we can do good research and understand uh, more things about the disease. Except that it's not a novel challenge actually, but we have started acknowledging after this incident in 2018 and giving it the importance it deserves. So these are the various highlights of ex situ conservation. Research in captive conditions to help to develop conservation techniques. They can act as platforms for developing scientific tools and research techniques that can be applied for in situ conservation approaches. Development and validation of conservation techniques in captivity. So Dr. Ramesh last week spoke, at length about all things that can be done, and it's applied as tigers and lions on and most wild species, all the various things that he has suggested. And in the case of lions, we are particularly interested in insights on diseases, the inbreeding effects, and various recent findings shows the dietary factors play a big role to health of the animal and deformity and in the early years of growth and development. And then we can have an informed gene pool management. Coming back now, touching on the subspecies classification, I know there is yet a lot of debate around it, but if you look at the northern line, the Gir is the one which has the largest number of lines and a thrive.
Uh, ma'am, ma'am, you are not audible to us. Can you unmute yourself? Ma'am?
Since should I go back a few slides or it happened only now?
Yeah, you can go with this genomics slide.
This one? Yeah. Okay, so the Gir lions are the largest in population wise among the northern lions, and so this gene pool is very important, particularly those that is in the ex situ genomic reservoirs. The ex situ conservation is that way very, very significant for the future of the subspecies. And if you look at the newly added green status by IUCN, the line, though we may take heart from critically endangered, is come to endangered and probably vulnerable. It's a growing population, but across its state, it's still considered largely depleted. So there is still a lot of work to be done, and nevertheless, the Asiatic lions are much better protected in CITES and as a Schedule 1 species within our country. We see it as our natural heritage. So a lot of focus on the protection of lions happens. So these are the genomic reservoirs. So I was trying to reach out the interface of the data and other things. We can improve much more, and to be able to exchange knowledge, and so we need to really update our current stud book and data availability and analysis to have a strong understanding of ex situ planning as far as Indian zoos are concerned. And with respect to the EEP, they have uh, they have been doing good research and other things, but they are struggling with inbred lions, and they are looking at stocking up. So it is to our advantage as well to be able to improve the stock in the EEP as well. So because overall all this will contribute to the survival of lions in the long term, beyond our time, and uh, after that as well. So, in conclusion, conservation should integrate in situ and ex situ efforts as a single coordinated strategy. They are not in silos. It's not like, to be uh, within bracketed within two categories. Um, they are not separate or competing approaches, so they are a conservation continuum. So they have to be coordinated, complementary, working together, whether we are trying to solve a disease situation on ground, gene pool, inbreeding, whatever it is. So we need a good dialogue between these two arms of management. So through the story I've been talking about in this talk so far, I have tried to convey how the Asiatic lion is very unique, in terms of its social organization, ecology. There's so much of plasticity and adaptation and resilience, and it has its own distinct evolutionary history, charming cultural history, and even more interesting conservation history. And it's important for conservation of the subspecies Panthera leo in today's time. And it's a conservation flagship for the unique semi-arid zone of the country, of the biogeographic zone. It's the only, the semi-arid zone is found only in this area, and the lion is its conservation flagship. But however, it's a single population facing several challenges related to population growth, spillover, and anthropogenic interactions, and it's contradicting with a lot of our development plans and economic growth and all that. And we should be clear about what we want to prioritize, because one wrong turn may undo over 100 years of conservation history. And then there would be deeper impacts of climate change, considering the fact that just a forest boundary, just outside the protected area, the ecology can be so, drastically different. Tells us when we have a much, deeper in climate change, what would happen and how vulnerable are our lines to these changes. So finally, the line is important for the conservation of the cave forest and as a natural, our natural heritage. In Gujarati, is seeing che to jungle che. So, and also it is important for the prosperity of the people and our conservation legacy as well. So finally, I would like to thank the Gujarat Forest Department and Bhushan Pandyaji for some of the photos, and David McDonald for collaborations and support all through my research journey. And some support comes from Leo Foundation for my Conservation Ambassadors program, and the enthusiastic students, interns, and colleagues who have joined me in this journey. And there's some of the works that I've presented here today. And if anybody is interested, students, anybody can reach out to me and come and work with me in any of these projects, and can access my articles and research papers through these sites. And now I'll take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll move toward our Q&A sections. So let me read out the questions which we have received from our registered participants. First question is from Dr. Sunil. Am I audible to you, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Is there in the chat or you're going to ask me?
I'll just read it out.
Okay.
First question is from Dr. Sunil. His focus is on the diet plan for Asiatic and African lions for the initial 1 year of the year. So what's the best practices that can be done in India with less cost, rather avoiding imported foods?
Well, I think I'm not at all qualified to, talk about, and the zoo managers will be better people to answer that. But as I can quote from literature, a lion in the wild has something like 6 to 8 kilo of meat per day, but they don't hunt every day, so it has to be calibrated in captive situation, and I have no idea of the diet plans, so I will not answer that question.
Okay. We'll move toward the next question from Charan. His focus is like, how can zoo and wildlife sanctuaries work together to ensure excessive conservation directly support long-term survival of wild population? And what is the biggest challenges currently facing in situ conservation?
Yeah, I think my talk was all about that only. So I think within behind what we can see, like I said, the interface of the the zoo or the we outsiders have no clue. There are not not much publications or access to it. So whether the captive management and the on ground in situ conservation, they are have a synergistic planning. I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem like that much to me now. There is scope for more conversations and more synergies.
Next is from Vipul Chakrabarti. The Asiatic lion population is about 850 plus in Gujarat. Do you think the habitat available in Gujarat can support a population size of 850 plus, and there will not be any conflict with human populations in that area?
No, so that's what, like I said, the word conflict itself is a very relative term, and as lines move further and further away from the boundary of the game forest, people may be very uneasy. They may not have the same tolerance as people that that have been living historically next door to the Gir and with lions. So if even if there is one attack, the panic and the alarm that it may cause is much more as we go further away from the Gir. Yes, it's difficult to sustain the population largely in the human landscapes for long, and I also emphasize we cannot base it on tolerance of the people. We really need a good plan for, in the long run.
Thank you, ma'am. And the next question is from Rohit Shetty. Like, what can be the possible reason that Asiatic lion is not being able to reintroduce in any other forest except Gir?
Can you repeat it? They can't?
What are the possible reasons that Asiatic lion cannot be able to reintroduce in any other forest?
Well, it's not a problem created by the Asiatic lion for sure, because they are happily going everywhere. We really need to, and now we have another population in Barda Sanctuary. So this is a requirement, and maybe in the future it's about the planning and implementation rather than what the Asiatic lion is willing to do or not.
Now, I would like to ask the participant, if you have any other question, you can kindly unmute yourself and you can ask your questions directly.
I think there are some questions in the chat box as well.
Someone is raising hand. Dr. Usman sir, can you kindly unmute yourself and you can ask your question?
Hello. Hi.
Hello, good afternoon. So I just want to know, if two of the Asiatic lions in captivity, if both two individuals are kept separately in separate kraal areas for a longer period of time, and now we have to reintegrate them, what measures should we take, and what separate measures to be taken if both individuals are female, and what different measures to be taken if one is a male and one female?
Okay, I think I'm getting a lot of questions on captive. I'm a totally field person, but having understood a little bit of lion behavior, first, I think the animals are must be stressed a lot. So I know of situations where, we call it captive breeding and just put a male and female together. So you have to really look at the understand the lion's behavior and what level of stress is there, before even if you do put them in one cage, and be able to assess whether that is the interactions are positive, or there seems to be some kind of stress or fear among them. So that is a common sense answer I've given. But yeah, the less the captive questions addressed to me is better, actually. I hope I answered at least something, some detail of what you wanted to understand.
Thank you, ma'am.
If no more question, I think we have come to the end of the today's section. So thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to join in the next section of CZA Talks Eco section. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.